Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. Okay, let's start with a question, and it's one that we can all relate to, and that is, have you ever had to deal with troubles that you didn't want, you didn't ask for, but there they were, you had some strains and difficulties that came in your way, and then you had to figure out, well, what am I going to do with this now? And when I say troubles, anything that creates a sense of anger or anxiety or causes you to have a lack of trust in people or events or circumstances or systems, and it just churns up your internal well-being to the point where it's like, I've got to figure out my way out. It's in those moments when you have your strains and troubles that you come to a demarcation point. When you're in that kind of circumstance, hopefully you're going to hone in on the question, well, in this moment, who am I? And what is it that sustains me? What is it that guides me through these kinds of circumstances? And we can take the troubles that we have and we can turn them into learning opportunities. Now, let's pause right there. Does that sound like something that would happen to those individuals that fall under the category of strongly narcissistic, keeping in mind that they are by nature controlling and insensitive and have to be superior and they don't have a whole lot of empathy? When narcissists have their troubling experiences, it becomes like an acid to their own character. Sometimes it can be shown in an immediate reaction to a troubling circumstance, but many times narcissists have a whole series of circumstances that pile up, and the more those troubling situations come along, it just eats away at them, and they go worse and worse and worse into the wrong direction. And the troubling circumstances that a narcissist can't really come to terms with prompts them to become bad. And when I say they become bad, they take their pain and their frustration, and then many negative circumstances begin to play out. Let me give you an illustration of what I'm talking about. I recall a man who would say, "Yeah, I grew up with a father who was harsh and mean and had a really nasty temper, and then he had an older brother that did the same thing with him." And this man struggled as a result with dating and work settings and developing friends. And looking into these troubles and difficulties he had, he decided to himself, I'm never going to be vulnerable with anyone else. I don't really like people, and when somebody differs from me, I'm just going to make them miserable, and it's not going to be pretty. Or I remember a woman who, looking back, could recall that she had many times in her mind that she felt like she was unfairly rejected, but it happened so many times over. She was a very stern kind of person and very controlling in the way that she dealt with individuals. And then over her period of time, she found herself deeper and deeper into isolation. And the people that did come into her inner circle found her to be very mean and domineering and cold in the way that she progressed with them. In other words, these individuals represented people that had their strains and difficulties, and it brought them down. Often when narcissists struggle with their difficulties and they go more and more into the direction of being bad, you'll find that they become morally defective. They become harmful in the way that they engage with people. They hold on to disturbed people, and then they transfer their disturbed feelings toward you, and they become, the disturbed becomes the disturbing person. They become insensitive to the people in front of them to the point of being calloused. They are consumed by faults. They don't want you to see their faults. They major on your faults, and they're unable to sustain decency. That's what I'm talking about when I say they go deeper and deeper into the direction of just being bad. Now, I've got 10 things I'm going to highlight real quickly that can help you understand how narcissists go from troubled to bad. And the key for you is to have as much of an awareness as you can, because obviously the narcissist is going to want to make you think you're the problem. But the more you see these patterns and tendencies, the more you're going to realize this is a disturbed person I'm dealing with, and it's not my task to take responsibility for what they refuse to come to terms with. So let's run through these real quickly. Number one, when they go into the bad place, basically they show themselves to be skilled at finding whatever is wrong. They have a built-in pessimism, and you'll find that as you try to talk with them about whatever's in front of you, that pessimism just keeps rising to the surface over and over. Number two, an indicator that says they've gone into the bad place is that they are fair-weathered friends only. And by that I mean, as long as you have nice and pleasant things to bring to the equation, they're fine. But whenever you bring something that may be too challenging or something that requires service from them to use, like, nah, I don't do that very well. They only want to hang around when the good times show up. Number three, and this kind of goes along with number two, they can be dishonestly evasive with you. As they go deeper into their bad kind of circumstance or character ingredients, once they begin realizing that you're going to want something from them on a personal level, they can say, "Oh, I've got something else that came up. I want to help you, but I'll be there in a little bit." And they don't show up. There's a lot of passive aggressiveness and lack of availability. And basically, they don't want to have to give a commitment to you if there's going to be some sort of work coming from them toward you. They don't want to commit if it means having to delve into the difficult part of a relationship. Number four, them going into the bad space. These narcissists become argumentative for no particularly good reason. They carry an undertow of anger and irritability and agitation, and it's just right under the surface, gurgling, ready to come out. Number five, they can become morally bankrupt. I know so many people who've had their history of unresolved troubles and tendencies that instead of saying, "I've got to learn," it becomes an excuse for them to just say, "You know what, screw it all. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do." And it can be something of a very harsh moral nature. It can be something that is questionable with ethics or just the way they treat people. But moral bankruptcy just becomes more and more rationalized to them. Number six, they are easily exploitive. They think to themselves, people are not someone that I want to invest in. People are no longer anything more than what I can use them for. And so they have a lack of empathy. They don't really care about the human side. All they're thinking is, how can I get you to do my bidding for me? Because that's all I want from you. Number seven, as they descend into their badness, and that is they refuse to receive direction. Now, speaking personally, I know that when someone comes along and says, "Hey, Les, there's something that may be troubling you. May I share with you a perspective?" I'm thinking, good. I'd love to have some perspective. Sometimes we all have blind spots. The narcissist thinks, no, I don't do that. I don't want to hear from you. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I want to be beholden to no one. They don't think of it in the same way that healthy people do. That being the case, number eight, as they descend into badness, honesty and lying just becomes a game to them. It's like, I'll say whatever is expedient for me. And you're going to know about who I am and what the facts are in my case only as it suits my purposes. That's all I do. It's a big game to them. Number nine, these individuals who descend into their bad side of their character lack remorse. They're going to scoff at you when you draw attention to something that needs their attention of a moral nature or just adjusting, and they're going to minimize their difficult traits. It's like, no, I don't feel badly about me. I feel bad about you just for being such a terrible person, but I'm okay with me. And in fact, no, they're really not okay. And then number 10, and this kind of summarizes all of it, when narcissists go into their bad side and their character becomes more and more difficult, they just refuse to take responsibility for whatever contributions they have to some of the difficulties that are in their life. Instead, they blame, they're not reliable, and they will not say, I really have to make my own adjustments. Now, the key indicator that a narcissist has gone from troubled to badness is that they only want you around for whatever service you're going to do for them. They want you to be a prop so that they can stay in control and so they can maintain their own personal gratification. And then once you fail to meet those criteria, then you're out. They don't really care about you that much. So we go back to the fact of the question, have you ever felt troubled? And the answer is yeah, every one of us has. But narcissists, instead of asking the question, well, how can I learn from this? How can I turn this into a growth opportunity? What good can come of this based on what my coping skills will lead me to? They're just thinking, I've been screwed over, or I'm just going to go get what I want, or coordinating with you certainly isn't going to work, or I don't really care about you, and I don't really care if I harm people in the process. I'm just taking care of me. And as a result, as you try on your side to pull them into a coordinated kind of mindset, it's not going to work because this is what they bring to the equation. They've gone bad, they've kind of gone rotten, they've gone sour down at the character level, and it becomes entrenched as the years continue to go by. My hope for you as members of Team Healthy is that you can decide for yourself when troubles come my way, I've got one enormous response or reaction that I want to offer, and that is, what can I learn from this? How can I be a better person based on what I've experienced? The narcissist thinks virtually the opposite of that. They go to their bad place, they park there, and they want you to join them. We're not going to join them at that place. We're going to stand for dignity, respect, and civility. Unfortunately, they can't go into that space. I hope you can be defined by that. Now, I hope videos such as this can give you some awareness of what you're dealing with. Like I say, the more aware you are, then the less inclined you're going to be to get sucked into their dysfunctions. So if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We're going to keep more videos coming your way. When you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell too. Many of you know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. When you're dealing with situations like this, you could probably use some therapy. And if that's the case, there's a link below that will take you to their website. It's an online therapy resource. It's accessible, and it's so helpful that you would get to choose a therapist who could say, I want to help you sift out what you're dealing with here. Let's understand, what it is doing to you and what our cleaner alternatives are going to be. Get the help that you would need. And I think it would be good if you can invest in yourself in that kind of way. Likewise, in my retirement, I put together some courses, online classes that are extremely extensive. Each class has at least 25 teaching videos. Each video has handouts and guided questions, and they're meant to be very therapeutic in nature. We have anger games. This is me about establishing boundaries. We have this is me about finding yourself despite the controllers. We have free to be, and then also Ready, Set, Connect. They're descriptors of the with links below the video here as well as on my website. Speaking of my website, we also have access to my webinars, which have proved to be quite popular. They're 90-minute presentations, which allow me to cover some topics in a much fuller kind of way, along with my articles, access to my podcast, my books, so plenty of resources. It's so necessary, given the fact that every one of us has our personal troubles, to say, okay, I'm going to experience my troubles, and then I'm going to pull back and start learning so that I can respond in a way that's going to be therapeutic and I can be in an ongoing growth process. When you turn to the narcissist and say, here, please join me, it's like, no way, I'm not going there. They just blame and they just keep on going into their ruin. It's sad, isn't it? But I'm hoping you can be the kind of person that says, well, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm going to be dedicated to growth from now till the day I die. And in doing so, I hope it sets you up to be a much more steady kind of person and someone who's going to be quite capable of finding your place of internal peace.